Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello nerds! How are you? I am so happy to be recording this for you today. It's been a super inspiring week, but with the kind of inspiration downloads that happen at 11 at night. So I've been getting up from my bed to take out my notes app and write all of my ideas down and stuff for these episodes. And I love it when it happens, but at the same time, the creativity comes in and in and in until 2 a.m. I don't love it so much the next day, but I take it when it comes. That's kind of how it is for me. Different seasons, different cycles. And it's funny because I was talking about this with my clients. We had our last group coaching call, the first cohort of Brave and Bold this week. And one of the themes, the recurring themes, seem to be seasons in our lives and how sometimes we create extra suffering when we're annoyed about ourselves not being the same as we used to be a few months ago. One of my clients was saying she used to be super outgoing and always wanting to meet new people and going in the outdoors every weekend. And now she just felt like resting and having more of a quiet time. And there was guilt involved there. She felt like a part of her was missing. And we had a discussion about how sometimes that's just how it is and we need to accept that. And obviously pay attention. And if there's depressive thoughts and things like that, seek the help that we need while not beating ourselves up for changing. We all have a different cycle and we have to trust how our heart feels and what our needs are in the moment. Autumn is an interesting season with the leaves changing color and falling off the trees and the trees being kind of naked through winter and then new leaves growing again in the spring. I think it's a beautiful metaphor for what can happen inside of us. And it doesn't have to happen during the fall. It might happen to you in the middle of summer as well. There's this quote that I really love that I'd even added on one of the summer camp t-shirts that I designed back in the days when I worked in a summer camp. It was written by Albert Camus, which is a French author, existentialist author. And he wrote, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. And that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me there's something stronger, something better pushing right back." I love this. So, today, let's jump into today's subject. We are talking about fear and how to deal with it, especially fear of criticism and fear of failure. The other day, one of my clients was telling me about this big move he wants to make from a well-paid job in the tech industry to following his calling towards a more spiritual path connected to himself and to nature. He said, "But the thing is, I'm so afraid." And we sat with that. Some people would try to fix the fear and make it go away. We can, to a certain degree, but we also have to realize that big fear is the price to pay to have a big, brave, bold, and beautiful life. The presence of fear is to be expected if you're going to do what you really, really want to do that you have not done before. Fear is not always a sign that something's gone wrong. Fear can be a sign that you are stepping into the unknown, that you are stepping into your power. So while we don't have to eradicate fear, and we want to allow it to be there, today I want to help you move through the feeling and shift your perspective when it comes to two of the main fears that my clients struggle with, and that is criticism and failure. And before we start, I want to make a short disclaimer. If you are feeling afraid in someone else's presence, this is not a sign that you're quote-unquote stepping into the unknown or stepping into your power and growing. Please seek help if that is the case. You deserve to be in relationships where you feel safe. Today, I'm talking about the kind of fear that shows up when you're following your dreams, doing something new, or going against the norms. Okay? So let's dig in. First, what is fear? Okay, I could go deep into this, and that's one of the things I do in my program, but I'm gonna share the basics. So fear is a feeling caused by your thoughts about a circumstance, whether real or imagined. Your thoughts are influenced by what you've been told, what you've experienced in the past, what you've heard time and time again, and more. There are thoughts, many of them are not in our control. They're unconscious and they come from a huge baggage of factors. If, as an example, you were told off for your mistakes as a child, then your thoughts about making mistake as an adult are going to be influenced by what you were told then. How did your caregivers react when you didn't do as they expected you to do? You may very well find traces of that in your current thought patterns. That's fine. It's nothing to worry about and nothing that's going to define the rest of your life if you decide otherwise. You can work with a therapist to better understand what happened and to heal. And you can also work with a coach to learn how to use your personal power to change your future by paying more attention to your thoughts in the now and taking imperfect action from who you want to be instead of who you have been in the past. So here's an acronym I created to help you remember the steps to take when you're feeling afraid. Okay, it's 4 letters. F-E-A-R for fear. So it's easy to remember. F is for focus on the sensation in your body. Okay, feelings are physical sensations, and focusing on how you experience it in your body can distract you from your distressing thoughts. E is for explain how it feels. So for me, fear often feels like Christmas lights in all of my nervous systems. And I can sit on the sofa and almost visualize like if they're flashing really fast, or you know those I know my parents have that for their Christmas tree where there's like a button that you can press and there's different modes, and there's like a mode where the lights are flashing really fast and then there's a mode where they're flashing more slowly. That's kind of what it feels like, but in my whole body. So notice how it feels for you and explain it. Try to find words or images to explain how it feels. Then A is for acknowledge that this is happening, that you have thoughts about a certain circumstance that are causing your feelings. This is completely normal and totally okay. Sit in the feeling and move through the tunnel, or let the tunnel pass through you. And then when you're ready, R is reframe your thoughts. So only once you've let yourself feel the feeling, you can reframe your thoughts. And before you can do that, you need to be able to identify what are the specific thoughts that cause the feelings. And that's a practice. You can get really good at that over time. Journaling can help here, letting your hand move down the page and letting the words come out from your subconscious, seeing what it is that caused this inner chaos. So let's walk through a few different reframes and alternative thoughts by looking at the worst case scenarios. Take what you want from what I offer and just leave the rest. Number 1, if you fail. Well, one way to see it is that you have to fail your way to success. There is no other road. In his work, The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell explains that the hero in all stories is going to take all the easy paths first before they realize that the way forward is that path that they least wanted to take because it scares them the most. So might as well save time and take that path now. So failure can, in a strange way, save you time. Because the more you fail, the more information you have about what not to do. You are eliminating options instead of sitting and looking at all the options without doing anything. One exercise that you can do that's really powerful is to look back on what you perceive as failures in your life and list everything that you learned from them. Failing also means that you were brave enough to try. Like quitting the Pacific Crest Trail or any other long trail like this after, let's say, 4 days is not embarrassing if you think that tens of thousands of people dream of doing it but will never, ever try. Just like writing an awful book is not embarrassing either if you think that millions of people tell themselves they'll write a book one day and never actually do. Earlier this week, I was sitting in my local coffee shop where I always go, and a disabled man came in and he sat at the table next to me and we started talking, like small talk. But eventually he told me he was a comedian. He'd been in a few different TV shows here in Quebec and he'd written articles about the place of disabled people in society that I don't think went viral, but had a massive impact and received a lot of interest. So he said, there are editors who said to me, write your story and we'll buy it and turn it into a book. He said, there are big authors that told me they would love to read more about my story. So, because I can't help myself but to coach anyone that I meet when they open a door, I asked him, okay, so they all want you to do that, but do you want to write a book? And he said, yes, I want to, but I just don't have the guts. I don't have the guts. I said, why? He said, well, I'm just so afraid of your judgment, this person's judgment, this other person's judgment. And I was like, why? Why do you care what I think about your book? What? It doesn't really matter. And he was like, yeah, well, if you don't think it's good, I've kind of failed my life. And I said, no, you haven't. First, even if half of the people who read that book think it's crap, maybe the other half has had their life changed because of you. And even if, let's say we go to the worst case scenario of writing a book, having it published, the book is really bad. It's a huge failure. You still have people who love you. You still have yourself and you know what doesn't work and have a better chance at succeeding the second time. You can try again and again and again. And it's funny because those of us who hesitate this much to do something often are perfectionists who really care about quality. So chances are his stuff would probably be super high quality. Anyway, so we had a really heartfelt conversation and then he asked me about what to write the name of my podcast on a piece of paper. So I did and he left. I don't know, maybe he's listening. If you're listening, hi. It was really great to meet you and I hope you're going to write that book one day soon. Now, that brings us to number 2. If you do get criticized. First, you gotta ask yourself, who is criticizing? Is it someone who's in the arena getting dirty with you, to paraphrase Abraham Lincoln and Brené Brown? Or are they sitting comfortably in the bleachers watching? Is it someone who's had a certain form of what you want? Or someone who pretends to have all the information, but no results to back their knowledge? Is it someone who's content with their life or miserable? Be very careful whose feedback you listen to. And then it might help to explore in what ways they might be right. But from a Stoic perspective, it has nothing to do with your worth as an individual. Your worth is protected, and nothing you ever do or say or think can ever change that. It's like in a massive stone tower that no fire or dragon can destroy. So ask yourself, what's the truth in what they're saying? What's the truth in their criticism? And get really curious. When I get criticism, I find that it's reassuring to think that yes, indeed, I am wrong and selfish sometimes. I am imperfect. My coaching is imperfect. So is my business. But I am serious and passionate about making it better and improving my skills and services every day. And I think that's what counts. Actually, I know that's what counts. Just like I find comfort in thinking that if I do say something that offends someone, I can always apologize. I know that my words don't cause other people's feelings. Their thoughts cause their feelings. But if my apologizing can help soothe their pain, why not? I don't mind apologizing. Apologizing doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Just means I am humble and I recognize that we can all make mistakes. You also might want to explore in what ways their criticism might be wrong. To question the thoughts that are triggered by their words and not take them as the truth. Remember that you know yourself better than anyone. You know your heart better than anyone. If someone tells me that I'm a bad person based on one aspect of me, or one time I showed up in X, Y, and Z way, or something they saw on Instagram, it doesn't have much value. Because only I know about all aspects of me. Only I know how I showed up with my friend yesterday, or with the homeless person I encountered this morning, or the stranger who needed help with his groceries, or the kid that kept talking to me at the cafe. Only I know what I do to help my fellow human beings. And I don't need to prove to anyone that I'm good. I don't have to make a public list of good deeds. Just like failure, criticism is also a sign that you're doing something, as opposed to stagnating and hiding in your basement. So, well done! You're in the arena and you can be proud. Just like one of my clients who was telling me that she has nightmares in which she dies. I don't know if I told you about that, but I was like, of course you are. She is moving so fast, stepping into her power as a leader more than ever before. She's going to have an impact on environmental policies on an international level. She's taking clear steps in that direction. She gets involved in her community, even though her ideas are shaking people's traditional perspectives. She created a thought-provoking, environmentally focused book club. And as if that wasn't enough, I need to take a breath before I can keep telling you about everything she does. She invited the author of one of the books they were reading to come have a chat with them, and the author said yes. And she also got promoted to a directorial role at the job where she works and can now start projects without anyone's permissions. Plus, she started a side business with her partner to help make events more sustainable. So, of course, she's afraid. Who wouldn't be to put yourself out there so much? She is a visionary change maker, and fear is the price to pay for that. So this brings me to asking you, are you also a visionary change maker whose life might have been a little too comfortable for too long? Take your hand out and we're going to count. I'm going to read 5 statements for you and you put your finger up for every statement that you say yes to. It's gonna be a little fun game. So, are you ready? Number 1. When you're being truthful with yourself, your ambitions are so big or so different that they terrify you. You sometimes think, come on, try to be more grateful of what you have, but your dreams don't fit normal expectations and you worry that you might like novelty too much. Or maybe novelty's not the word for you, but you worry that you're dreaming maybe a little too big. So that's statement 1. Is that a yes or a no? Statement 2. You see what's going on in the world and crave making more of an impact. So much so that you get restless and feel like you're wasting your time when your day is just about ticking one task after the other on a to-do list that just seems so mundane and meaningless. Yes or no? Number 3. You feel enraged about how some of the things are being handled in our Western society and are or would be willing to feel uncomfortable if you can or could contribute to change in a way that's sustainable to your well-being. So what I mean by that is if you found what it is that you could do that would make a difference, you'd be willing to do it even though if it required effort from you. Yes or no? Number 4, you wouldn't mind making yourself vulnerable if you had the certainty that it would make another human being feel loved and seen, but you're just not sure how exactly you can help and if it would help. Number 5, you have the passion and the drive to make a difference, but you tend to diminish your ideas or don't know how to put them into practice in a way that makes sense or that's unique to you or that allows you to pay your bills. Some of these are a bit similar, but you get the gist, okay? The point is that you? And if it is, do you need a little push to fully own your power? If so, I want you to apply for a spot in my program Brave and Bold. Applications open this Wednesday, the 20th, and once you're accepted, you will be invited to the free live private training I will be hosting, where I will teach you 1, my 3-part framework for creating the epic life of the visionary changemaker that you are. 2, why you still get stuck in your old patterns when you know you have so much potential. And 3, a tangible step-by-step method to start reconnecting with your true self now and start seeing a difference. So, even if you're not sure that you want to be in a coaching program, you should definitely come check out the live private training. It's free and some of the best work, deepest work I've ever created. So apply, come to the training, see for yourself, and then decide what you want to do moving forward. That being said, I do want to say that in 6 months from now, you could be the most confident that you have ever been. And start thinking about who that is and what would become possible if you were willing to do what you really want to do with your fear next to you. If fear didn't have any say in your decisions, what would you do? Think about that. And as I said, applications open on Wednesday. They're going to be really fast to fill in. It's just 2 real questions. So find me on Instagram if you haven't already, and there's going to be all the information that you need over there. All right. Have a good week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Bye. You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerds.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.